Poducer.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
This is great.
And it's fall.
You guys are quite the well-oiled machine now compared to my last one of these with you.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to your bed, and we were like huddling around a headphone splitter.
I know.
This is
I literally used to have guests sit on my bed.
Yeah.
Literally, like.
Yeah. I think I sat on your bed.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. There was, this seems like a tight space, but this is huge compared to what we had, yeah. And we weren't even doing video. Good thing, because that would have looked so weird.
Really strange.
It would have been like therapy, like, oh, Jake's on my bed, and I'm going to ask him some questions about his life.
Like, very, DIY therapy session, but...
unintentionally.
Also
now this is like the
other people.
real therapy session, because like this, I feel like a therapist sometimes.
I already feel like I'm being therapized. This is already pretty nice. Maybe it's the room, or maybe it's because I admire both of you as people quite deeply, and
you feel comfortable.
Yeah,
that's what we wanted.
Maybe it's because it's fall and I'm in my comfy fall fit now.
I was telling myself today, I was like walking around, leaves are falling down. I'm just like, just soak it up. Just like try to take in every moment of it, because it's all the leaves are gonna be gone, and you're just gonna be like, oh,
2 more weeks until it's cold and awful.
Yeah.
I'm not hyped.
Do you guys have costumes yet for Halloween?
We've been trying to brainstorm the couples costumes. We've been really into a lot of the Star Wars shows, but can't really tell how deep people get with like knowing who's what on those shows, and like I don't know, I should probably think about that more now that you mention it. I didn't realize it was October already.
It's coming for you. Yeah. I'm just being a vampire.
That's good.
That's classic.
I've never been a vampire, so
are you being like a traditional vampire, or like the Twilight vampire, or like post Twilight? I know there's like other shit now.
I think I'm just gonna be like a swaggy vampire, and I'm gonna get the fangs.
Okay.
And like the real fang, not the ones that like you bite on that look goofy.
Okay.
But there's ones that you can like mold to your canines.
Whoa.
Not like intensely mold, but like like never coming off.
Like going to the orthodontist for your costume.
What did you do? Yeah. No. And then just getting like contacts, so I just look freaky.
Nice.
And then I feel like just those 2 things, like you'll know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's I think the older I get, the better you can pull off like a low budget DIY costume, and people are like, I know what that is. That's like the indicator of like you did it really well this year.
Yeah.
Not the like dropping $500 on some like crazy thing you found on the internet, but like if you can just go to like the thrift shop and get like a sweater and a tie or whatever, and like people know what that is. I don't even have an idea in mind for what that is, but like you know what I mean, where it's like, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm the Rugrats parent. I'm Stu Pickles,
right?
Like Mace, do you have a costume?
Yeah, dude. So for our show, we have 3 of us in the band, and we all decided to go as classic monsters. I'm gonna be a mummy.
Nice.
Yeah, just a straight mummy.
That'd have been good.
Are you doing the teepee thing?
I don't know if I'm gonna do the teepee, or maybe I'll like get some white gauze or something like that. Make it a little bit more adult,
a little bougier.
A little bougier.
I'm not gonna lie, you could do Frankenstein very well too,
dude.
Because Frankenstein was a big guy.
Yeah,
and people don't know because you're sitting always.
Yeah,
but Mace, you're like 6'3" or 4, 5.
Bro's like 6'7", yeah.
Okay, wow, I'm
like
so
6'2".
Off. Dude, what the? Yeah, no, actually, I'm like 6.
You're like about the same,
1-ish, and yeah, Mace is like way bigger than me.
Yeah, bro's a tower.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no face paint for me though. That's the thing, is like I draw the line at face paint.
Sure.
Yeah. My budget is, and just my patience for putting on a costume is like, all right, I'll wrap myself up, or I'll wear this outfit and I'm good to go.
Yeah. I was really big on like the anti-costumes when I was like in college, and definitely didn't have money for stuff, so I would just like write on a sheet of paper that's like, this is my costume, and like be like that edgy kid,
the like old school Jim in the Office type costume.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I think I even borrowed the like book face thing that he did in the one episode one year, and I was like, this isn't funny. I just don't care.
But did people react well? They're like, oh, it's funny, or like...
I think some people saw it and knew.
Yeah.
It really depended on like who knew me and knew that I was like into the office at the time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just like very like, I don't care. I clearly didn't plan more than an hour before this party, and I'm Jim from the office doing something also that was lazy.
Yeah. One year I went as a nudist on strike and just wrote that on a piece of paper, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And I was
That's
like,
really,
I
like-
literally looked it up online and probably got the most reactions to that costume. I was just like, "Wow, you don't have to try that hard."
Yeah, that's like the most like reverse way to say I didn't dress up as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like you put the idea in people's head that you have a costume when you're just Jerry.
Yeah, you just
Just Jerry.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you just flip it on them. They're not expecting it, and that's how you do it.
Right.
Anyway, we'll start the podcast. Welcome to Poducer. This is the podcast for producers. Today we are joined by Ellipsis.
Thank you for both of you having me back. It's really good to be here.
Yeah, of course. Ellipsis, Jake, has been on the podcast a few times. Like,
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. Appearances in the Reset episode, some other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the one with Reset. I think it was your first video episode in this room.
I know, yeah. Shot in like 360p or something. Like it was...
Yeah, I had my own solo episode way back.
Yeah.
And I think I've done some guest appearances with
Yeah.
other people, and I don't know, it's good to hang out.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. I don't, like, we can't do our question, and it throws me off.
I was
But-
kind of scared you were going to ask me again just to see if I give the same answer.
Yeah,
And
to
I was
test
like
you.
listening again, and I think my answer was Paul McCartney or the Beatles, or definitely Paul McCartney because the Beatles aren't themselves anymore. I think that's still my first concert.
Yeah. I was going to say we could do, like, a new edition of the last question, which is what was, like, your favorite concert? And, like,
That's
maybe
hard.
just, like, what is your favorite concert of the recent time in your life? Like, in
Yeah.
I don't know.
Favorite recent concert? I have really been enjoying seeing all of my friends at the Notion Sound Test Thursdays.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
It kind of feels like, honestly, kind of like seeing my friends come on this show is like, it kind of feels like one of those rites of passage when you're a Chicago producer, or like that's how like it seems to be discussed and kind of like approached. So like whenever any of our friends and like musician homies are on one of those, it's so cool to see them like really try to curate it into like, this is who I am right now. This is
Yeah.
like where I'm at with my musical journey. And if you guys showed up, that's really cool of you because this was a free event.
Yeah, those are really fun. And actually, I kind of feel bad because Kale's playing one tonight.
He is.
And I'm not going to be able to make it to that. But
Yeah.
but I know he'll throw it down.
He's going to do great. He's actually doing another one on Halloween that I will hopefully be able to make it up to him as well. But,
Okay.
yeah, love Kale. Hope he does well tonight.
Yeah, he'll kill it. For those of you who don't know, that's at Primary.
Correct. All the Sound Test Thursdays at Primary are great. I was not asked to plug those. I just
Yeah.
go because they're fun.
Yeah, no, they're dope. I was thinking we could get into a track early on here because,
Okay.
you know, we have that. Someone's blasting bass outside right now. We could
Crazy.
just listen to that.
Just listen to the neighbor's car. That's cool.
Just
That's actually what I've been making my music sound like is your neighbor's car.
yeah, muffled bass.
That's my track that Mace is leaking over there.
Dude, they must be bumping out there.
Dude, it's funny that you say that actually, because I've got a chain that I throw on the master sometimes when I'm wearing headphones.
Yeah.
I call it the festival test or the sub test.
That's good.
Where it's like if I were playing this in my car with like an ignorant subwoofer or like at the fucking festival, like it's just basically take the bass way up, add a little bit of like room verb and like, you know, kind of squash the mids.
Kind
a
of make
little
it
bit,
like
yeah.
feel like, oh, I should go over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just to see. You
Yeah.
never know. Yeah.
Which one should we run out of the 4 that you sent?
Yeah, so just to give some initial context, I have been all over the place with different projects and all sorts of endeavors with music. I'm trying to put together 3 different EPs. I don't even know if one's considered an EP, but I have a project with TYGKO that's kind of me producing, him rapping. I have another one that's Palpa and I just going crazy, having fun together. And then I have a solo one that I don't have anything to share today, unfortunately. But I'm just kind of enjoying branching my brain project-wise in those 3 directions, and then having lots of singles and stuff with other creatives that I enjoy working with as kind of, I want to call it filler because I admire them all the same, but things that won't be on those projects.
Gotcha. Okay, more like singles or...
Yeah, I would say probably most prominently in the last year, I've been working on the TYG project. So the song that I sent you guys is called FOMO, and I wrote the beat for it while it was right around when quarantine was ending. And back when I lived at that crazy producer house, that was myself, Cam Stacy, TYGKO, and Nada. I was going through a whole bunch of boot camp classes and just getting hammered at work. And they were really getting book club, the venue that they now run, off the ground. So I was in my room pretty much all day looking at screens. And by the time I would get out of my room, especially now that it's fall, winter, it was dark and I really didn't have much going on. So FOMO was the first idea I had in mind when I was titling it. Yeah, we can run it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Poducer Discord through the link below.
Well, it's cool seeing you work with somebody else in this capacity, because I feel like a lot of your solo projects are much more like maybe heavy and full, if that's the right word. So it seems like it's still you, but you kind of like reined it back to leave room for vocals, but you can still kind of hear that glitch that you have going on. It allows for some more space and movement, and it just it felt like you, but like, you know, I could tell that you were working with for something else, right? Like it was like a different intention.
I'm really glad you picked up on that, actually, because it was definitely intentional. I mean, so after my last EP, I definitely felt like that was pretty heavy, very sound design driven, very expected, but also unexpected in a lot of ways. So a lot of my like kind of what can I do that's meaningful and feels like growth from here has been a lot of really trying to hone in on like making catchier songs, making like really dialing in on the groove of my songs, and something like that I think is like, I mean, I guess also from like a production standpoint, I was like slamming all my tracks with like 70 to 100 channels of stuff in Ableton, and that just was a nightmare every single time, and I was like, this is not sustainable for getting anything done. So and especially while I was getting hammered with class and work, I was like, I really just want to get an idea down and make that good in what it is. And it actually came out pretty organically, that it just had tons of room and his vocals sit perfectly on top of it. And that kind of became the MO, and kind of the start of the project was just getting simple rap ideas down, or simple just like melodies that were in my head that day, or chord progressions that I was messing with. Getting a lot of those, just keeping the creative habit up of just getting the hours in Ableton. And then every time I'd share him when I was living at the house, he was like, hell yeah, let me rap on this. And it was great.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask about living in like a borderline frat house for music producers, because I mean, I wouldn't call it that actually, but like I lived in a house with 4 other guys.
Right.
Similar situation, a coach house. And as much as I love all those guys, when I moved out, I was just like, wow, this is really nice to have my own space and not be on top of one another.
Yeah, and it's it's very much the same. I still love all those guys. I still go over to the house all the time and stay in touch with them as much as I can. But you're absolutely right, and I believe you also moved out to be with your partner. So it's been a very refreshing new chapter for me, but also like I do miss just like having Ableton open and someone walks by and is like, yo, we should come up with an idea on that, or like just the workflow of stuff like that was just crazy. And actually having Nada as my roommate was really fun for another track that we can get to whenever you want to do that. But I do really miss a lot of what it was being in that house, but I'm also really happy where I am now.
Yeah, some separation. I mean, it's good. You can always go back.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's still on great terms, and of course the friendship is still there, and they're really grinding on book club, and now they've got some new also music producer homies in the house. So the essence of that is still there in a lot of ways, and just going over there and like every time you set foot in the house, you just immediately feel inspired, and like you can really feel that any idea that you want to try out is a safe idea. There's no like bad idea for you to really try to express. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just really energizing to have that as like a creative space.
For sure. I feel like you're the honorary like 6th member too. Like whenever you come over, it's like, yeah, I used to live in that room right there. So you got it set up a little differently than me.
So it was funny when we moved into the house, we had all very recently been dumped or gotten out of relationships. So we joked that the house name was Foster's Home for Imaginary Girlfriends.
Bachelor boys.
Yeah. And Cam's sister actually painted the Foster's Home from the cartoon, and it's very prominently in the living room when you walk in. And so when the lease was up this past year, I had moved in with my partner, and everyone had already kind of found someone, or everyone is now currently dating someone, I think, from last year's arrangement at least. It almost feels like we graduated, and so now they like refer to me as the alumni. So it's a little silly that way, but it's really fun. I love those guys.
That's funny. In a general sense, what's been rumbling around in your head? Like, also, I kind of want to just ask, like, how far have you come since the last podcast? Because that one was that was like 3 or 4 years ago now.
Our last solo one?
Yeah. Like,
I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Like, if you could think about kind of your headspace there and what you were really focused on and kind of what you're focused on now, just to kind of juxtapose those.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to get into.
It's been crazy. I feel like I'm in like, I was looking at the Dunning-Kruger curve the other day, and I feel like the last time I saw you know how like, for those who don't know, Dunning-Kruger is like your confidence at something and your like actual like ability at something. And it's like this kind of like very sharp peak that like tumbles, and then you gradually get back up to like actually being confident. If I could pull it up, it would make more sense. But basically it's like, it's like you think you get good at something really quickly. That's what kind of pulls you into a skill. And then you have a very steep, humbling moment, which I wouldn't say I had a moment per se, but I think the time that you and I had our last podcast was really when I was kind of at the bottom of like, I don't know anything. I need to figure out so much stuff. And now I'm slowly like making my way up that gradual incline. I don't want to say I'm anywhere close to the top, but I feel very comfortable with the skills I have, very comfortable with my workflow, very comfortable working with other people, and probably the most proud of my ability to like actually finish ideas now, and they like don't suck. So just things like that I've become really grateful for. And on the flip side of that, I felt like the last time I saw you, I was really excited to try and put stuff out and really push, and I had this so much like energy, and I just felt so much younger.
Young buck.
Just like hungry, right?
Sometimes I'll see younger kids just like, I was at the beach and they were trying to scale this pole, and I was like, young bucks. Like, they're not going to be able to do it, but they're going to try.
Yeah. So it was a lot of that, and even like during the pandemic or during quarantine, I was putting a lot of stuff out, eventually kind of culminated with the EP that I put out. And then perfect timing was kind of the EP coming out, giving it some breathing room, and then I kind of fucked off and focused on getting the rest of my life together.
Getting that bag.
Yeah. And I'm still kind of in that transitionary phase, but I'm definitely at a much more stable place with it where I can now get back to music. And so it was like a little bit of shaking off the cobwebs, because I took about a year off of like really being in Ableton, and that killed me for a while. But the place I'm at now is I feel a lot more comfortable with what I want to do when I hear something that I want to try, or hearing a sample and like kind of having some ideas of how to mangle it into something and make that a better musical idea, because I feel like it was a lot of just really raw Foley and sound design and really trying to get the most out of just like atonal sound. So now that I feel more competent at the actual music production, it's almost unfair that it's like, it seems like SoundCloud has continued to dwindle, although maybe not.
It feels like it has.
Yeah, but like all the tools that were at my disposal when I was stupid and didn't know what I was doing have now just kind of tanked. And I like, I'm at this weird place of like, okay, now I know I finally have the ability to like do something in a way that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But I don't know the like best way to like share it.
Damn,
And-
that's real.
Yeah, no, I feel that same way with the podcast. Like, I took a long break, and like, if I just kept going when I was, that was before fucking, dude, every single person I meet now is like, oh, you have a podcast? That's cool. Like, I'm trying to start one too. I'm like, yeah, you just got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Everyone thinks they can do it.
there's nothing wrong with that. I think like they should. But
I encourage
I'm just
whatever
saying,
you wanna
like,
do.
what you were saying about like when you had all that, you know, vigor to do it, like you could have capitalized on that more because there was more opportunity then. And now there's still opportunity, but it's just think about how many
now.
more people are in the game, or just the fact that so many like music producer jobs that once were like even making beats for like simple videos like is now just, oh dude, like we can just slap together some stuff. Like anyone can kind of make a simple beat, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see other people so much as the competition, as much as like the tools we've been given have just become like this like frenzy for like grabbing people's attention. And the more shit is thrown into that system to grab your attention, the less you can really actually get people's attention, and for less time. Like, Sam Galatry put out an excellent EP about a week ago, I think.
It's good. I like it. It's probably
so
my
good.
favorite EPs put out in a while.
Yeah, same. And I'm trying to train my attention span to be like, okay, when Spotify stops showing me that I'm listening to this, am I gonna like find it on my own again and like remember to keep listening to it? Because like that's where we're at least that's where I'm at.
If we can talk about someone like Sam G too, it's like he got established. Sometimes I think about this thing where it's like people that are established who can just kind of keep having a career because their name is already like omnipresent.
Sure. I mean, Sam Galatry, one of the most brilliant producers ever. No question.
Yeah, and no taking away from like the skill and just being really, and he's also evolved, done a lot, started singing, doing a lot of cool stuff. But I mean,
but the infrastructure of like just throwing something on SoundCloud was up when he was 14 and incredibly talented then, and he did his upload waiting so long. Or like that had 500,000 plays in 2 days or whatever. Like that just doesn't. There's nothing like that anymore.
No.
And I think about people who are actually making it, like just the first person to come to mind is like Ice Spice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she is killing it.
Sure.
But I'm curious to see how much of a household name she can become, because I feel like to become a household name now, it's just so much trickier. Like, it's just, yeah, it's a completely different
And that's the
game
things
plan.
too, is like the way you and I just mentioned a couple artists is like all of those are operating on different scopes. Like Sam G, I don't even think most people our age know. Ice Spice, everybody our age knows, but maybe not like our parents or maybe even like older millennials. But like, who's gonna be the next like Jay-Z?
That's what, yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying now, is like, how,
No one can maintain
yeah.
anything with how just like everything is TikTokified.
Well,
and, like,
yeah, exactly. And the record label's game plan, at least right now, is like, TikTokify it. Like let's sign this dude because like he blew up viral, but like, yeah, I don't know, like what's gonna come out of that. Like I don't know. It's a weird landscape.
And it's like, so having spent a year just kind of sitting out on all of that and coming back to it and being more true to myself creatively than ever, and I think to my own standard more prolific than ever, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like sell out what I'm doing to try to throw a viral thing at TikTok, or I mean, I'm not on TikTok at all, but like I'm not gonna compromise what I enjoy doing to fit a mold or to like meet an expectation, but not in some flash of the pan interaction with the general public.
Yeah. I mean, there is this aspect of just like people continuing to do it.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people are chasing that viral moment that's going to get them a lot of attention.
It's just a completely different game, to me at least, to pursue that than to pursue creating really meaningful art.
And have a long career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny we're talking about this. I was just thinking about this today because story of my career, I've always been going through an identity crisis, trying to figure out what kind of music I want to make, right?
Sure.
And trying a bunch of different shit. And the thing I keep coming back to is like, it's got to feel good to you. You know, I've tried so many times to make whatever's popular at the time, whether it's the, big booming festival trap stuff or big room, or right now it's like kind of the, big room tech house kind of thing, the rebirth of EDM. And, like these things come and go. But in my opinion, if you just keep coming back to what feels good to you, there's no like timetable or lifespan on how long you're going to go for. Like, people recognize real, authentic, organic music that true artists are putting out, and it's something that I feel like doesn't get lost in the viral trends up and down. Somebody comes and goes. It's like it just kind of sticks around.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, with EDM in general, I have definitely noticed, I mean, even before the current state of the internet competing for your attention, it was always like there's trends, there's like just different stuff people are interested in over time, and I think that's normal, because if you burn out one thing or oversaturate on one thing, some other thing's gonna grab people's attention. But yeah, that doesn't mean I want to like go hardcore on D&B for 6 months to a year just because that's what people are doing, and then now switch over to like something else. D&B I didn't mean to pick on per se, but I love D&B.
No, D&B's great.
But yeah, it's just to your point, it's like it's also this weird kind of self-evaluation of I'm doing what I really enjoy. I'm aware that it's like not the trend and like not sounding like what other people have been doing lately. And it's like I still get some of those like nagging, like, am I doing this wrong? Should I be doing something that's like more familiar for like the accessibility part of it?
It's a balance, man, but you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's a different game if you're trying to ride the trends.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of tell, not naming any names, and good on them for the success that they've had, but like you can kind of tell when that's what an artist does, right?
Yeah.
And it's, in my opinion, those are people who, sure, maybe, think like an artist, but they're more of a business than, an artist at that point. That's just kind of my take on it. And
I think it's something I really appreciated that you mentioned was with the track we played already, that you could tell it was still me. That was something that I've really tried to like establish, that I have a style that I can like apply to any different kind of idea, and it's still like noticeably something I put my ideas on. And I don't know, it feels like that's a sign of versatility. I feel like I've grown in that way where, I don't know, I'm not a one-trick pony, right?
right.
And I'm not some chameleon that can pivot into whatever is going to get me clicks.
Right. But even so, even if you did, there's still kind of that little signature.
You got sampled. Someone sampled that.
This thing has crazy sounds. I actually, I like used it like sloshing one time for like a really cool like texture-y thing. This thing's really fun. But
the Hydro Flask
ASMR
specifically, yeah, we're like
also not a plug, just thirsty.
Yeah, just the last thing I was thinking about on this is like, have you ever seen Josie and the Pussycats? Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
I watched it again recently, and for some reason I think about it a lot, because basically the concept of that movie is that through music they have subliminal messaging to tell people like what they should be buying. Like, oh, I really want Lay's right now, like it, because it's like in the music somehow.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, like blue is the new color, and then everyone's wearing blue. And I just feel like if you for me, feeding into the trends just doesn't feel right. Like, I can like stuff like D&B coming back, I love it. Like, that's great, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, it doesn't feel right. I was at REI the other day. I was shopping for a pair of just like walking running shoes, and there's this brand of shoes called On. Have you seen these? They have these like little like, it's like a very specific thing, but like, I swear I see all these people with them, and I was telling the guy, I was like, I don't know, these feel like they're pretty nice, but I almost don't want to buy them just because they're so trendy. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't want to feed into that, and this is like my own issue.
But that's a good point, though. I think it does go well beyond music. Like last year, I went to go visit my girlfriend in Greece, which is where both of our families are from. Her family much more directly than mine, and I just could not put aside how like it seemed like everybody I knew and everybody that was like someone that knew someone I know was in Greece that one summer. Like somebody, some influencer or somebody was like, Greece is the spot that
like it could have been Tulum, it could have been Greece. Greece has kind of always been the spot.
It's been great, but that's
I mean,
also because we're both biased as fuck.
Yeah, super biased. But I mean, like I've definitely noticed that as well.
Just like it feels like the flocking of like, I don't know how to say it, but like it just seems like it's so much more simplified to like migrate a trend or like migrate a mass of people towards like something that's cool at any given time. I don't know how to like express that idea. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. I just don't want to be a sheep.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be like angsty, like, that's lame.
Right.
Because I'm cooler or something. Like, that's also the other end where it's just like, oh, I don't want to be that either. So there is kind of this fine line where you can be like, yeah, this is cool. Like, this is happening right now. This is interesting. You got to tap into like what is new and current. But like, that doesn't have to be your identity.
Yeah. And just like, I don't know, the way so another thing I've thought about since the last time we spoke was I remember talking about social media and information intake a lot. And I feel like that's gotten so much more just exhausting, and that I now have to be conscious of like what I even engage with without getting this like feedback loop of like advertising to me that's like reading my mind. Because like if I like an ad or if I like something on Instagram that's like the shoes you liked, all of a sudden just everything's going to be like, do you want to go hang out in the woods? Buy a bunch of stuff from REI.
You know what's sad too? It kind of works to an extent, because you're like thinking about buying it and then you see them and you're like, oh, they are pretty cool. And then they'll get you, dude.
It's such a dissociative experience. I think.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, obviously, we're savvy to it.
Right.
And it's like, at this point, society's savvy to
but it's just
the
this
targeted ads.
This crazy flurry of, like, my peers that I do want to keep in, like, I want to keep up with, who are doing cool things, posting stuff, and then, like, ads that read my mind, and then, like, the worst memes I've ever seen, and then, like, just the, like, lowest point of humanity, all being, like, shuffled in this thing that I'm scrolling through, like, in seconds, is just, like, there's no way that's good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's, like, I'll go on Instagram to post stuff, and then I'll be like, I got to get off this immediately, because it's like just filling my brain with stuff that I don't care about. But then I'm like, wait, I'm trying to promote this. And it's just like, there's no happy medium. Like, it's so difficult to filter out all the noise. It'd be nice to have something that kind of does it for you, or just, I don't know. That's why I try to be, I mean, just to talk specifically about just like, what I try to do deliberately is have content that is really like actually worth putting out for every day of the week, basically.
Yeah.
And that's like the game plan, because otherwise you can get into that thing where it's like, oh, well, I have to post something. It's like, but that's taking away from your message, basically. Like, the more noise you post, it's just like not good. And some people don't care, you know what I mean? They're used to just having to sift through stuff. But I just feel like there's a responsibility that I feel to just give people, you know, have just more quality content, opposed to just trying to like get it. Or just like filling it with something else.
Yeah, it's true though.
That sounds so like basic, like, put out good stuff, but
it is like, how do I cut through the algorithm, cut through the noise? And that's kind of where I'm at now with trying to finish music, is like, okay, I don't want to like throw money at all this just to like reach the people that already follow me. I don't want to like do some gimmick. Like, I'm not good at like curating a personality that's not me, or like some gimmicky thing. I want to just like put the music out, and like whoever wants to see it can see it. And I feel like that's such a big ask now.
But and this is where I'm gonna jump in with the algorithms in with the music too. That's my problem. I had to go to Spotify and hit on somebody's random playlist and shuffle through that, because I feel like it's gotten into like what they're feeding you, they think you want to hear, right? It's almost the same thing as social media, keeping you on longer, you know, just one more click, just one more scroll.
Oh yeah, and
just one more click.
And like the musical,
Spotify, dude, like
the music echo chamber that Spotify like feeds back to you,
dude,
is also
if I hear
exhausting.
Them Changes One More Time by Thundercat, I'm gonna fucking blow my head up. Great song.
But I'm sure you're fucking
that's
sick
like
of it.
the poster child song of Spotify.
It's like the cornerstone of all of the algo playlists you get.
I feel like that's like the nucleus of like where it all goes. And somehow I'm sure Thundercat's making a boatload of money off that track. But dude, it is wild. There's like a couple songs like that where I'm just like, oh my, again.
Yeah.
Like on random playlists that I'm just like, wait, this is not even related. But you're just like, this is such a safe bet song.
Yeah. I think kind of pivoting a little bit, but I think all of what we've talked about has just really like drained.
Are we boomers? Sorry.
I do feel
that's
like a
what
boomer,
from
man.
the last one. I was just like, basically what I've derived is from our last podcast. We were like young and hungry,
95
and now
years
we're
old now.
boomers.
But no, it does just like exhaust me to the point where like I will mute my group chats and just like tell people like, if you need me, no you don't, I'll see you tomorrow or whatever, and just be exhausted and done for the day. And unplugging feels just so liberating.
I actually wanted to ask you about your email list and how that's going, because that's
Yeah.
like a more direct to the people you actually care about.
Yeah, it's been good. It's really interesting. So far, I've only sent one email. I'm gonna send another one because I have a track coming out tomorrow that is not one of the ones I sent you. But as far as actually like assembling that feels, even though I'm not reaching as many people yet, I'm reaching everybody that wanted to be reached. I'd spent a couple weeks just being like, hey, if you want to hear my music, I'm not paying for ads. Give me your email and I'll email you. And that's been really cool. And based on the one that I sent out so far, like I got a lot of pre-saves on a track. I got a lot of people to download something that I made that I wanted to kind of just have as an exclusive, not throwaway track, but like people were really excited to engage with that kind of thing. And I feel like I was able, like you said, like I didn't have to compete for reach. I could just like email everyone that I wanted to hit and wanted to like be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I've really been trying to explore more approaches like that and really try to culminate. I don't know, like I feel like I've established a lot of really good relationships with people, including you, where like I genuinely keep up with you beyond just like transactional, like hanging out and giving each other content or whatever.
Yeah.
So trying to use the relationships I've built in a holistic way also feels fulfilling, even if it's like not going to be the same statistical result as like throwing $500 at some Spotify playlist.
Yeah. No, I get that. It made me think about just like being kind of like a documentarian.
Yeah.
Where like what we do with this conversation, like this is a conversation that
We could
is
easily have
good for us
without
to have.
mics.
Yeah, exactly. Like this would be a good thing to just be like, yo, Jake, what have you been thinking about lately? And that's kind of what this is.
Too much is the answer.
Yeah. And like, you know, it's my mentality lately has just been document everything you can and then pull out the best little bits of that and then share it with people, because people don't have the attention span most of the time to listen to the whole thing. So like, yeah, I feel like music in a way, it's also like that time capsule. Like you're documenting what you were thinking at the time. But what you were saying about the real life connections of like me and you, like when I first reached out to you, it was just like, yo, this guy's DJing a show that I saw.
Yeah.
Like we should connect in real life. And like, okay, we're also going to make the excuse that like we're going to record something and go deeper with that intention.
I feel like I've become better friends with you since, like, I don't feel like I knew you as a person before our first episode. So now, like, we've hung out, we've been friends.
Yeah.
This is a very comfortable experience. And, like, Mace, who I think is off screen for the viewers.
He's in.
He's in?
Not always.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah.
But, I mean, Mace and I go way back, way beyond, like...
Yeah.
musically doing anything together. We were just friends in college that would throw parties and be together.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I really enjoy operating like that, where it's like I'm not transactional, I guess is the word I keep coming back to.
Yeah, I feel like what I've realized more and more is like this thing that, you know, both of us are doing, like our art forms, if you call this an art form.
I would call this an art form. You've put a lot into it.
We can call it an art form. Just like the practice, whatever your practice is, like that can run in tandem with making connections with people in real life that last outside of just like this social media thing. And like I feel like that's the thing that you get the most out of doing it. Like of course music is more, you know, it's your artistry, it's like the sounds you want to hear.
Yeah.
But I think in pursuing that, you also have the chance to, you know, that's like the vehicle to make connections with people. And I feel like that's what we're all just trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, so like when I moved to Chicago 7 years ago, I didn't really know anybody. Like I knew Mace. I didn't know you were really up here. I think you were out in the burbs most of the time.
Yeah.
A couple of years back anyway, so I really didn't see you. So I was pretty much going it alone, and was DMing people on SoundCloud, DMing people that I had kind of crossed paths with from college, and really just tried to like be a good friend and like be a really healthy, like creative person to be around myself, and really try to be in like a growing mindset. And I still try to have that growing mindset, even though I'm now more comfortable with creating more often. But I think that's really contributed to like fostering really good friendships with people along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I feel that we got a little existential, I think.
I think we've gone pretty deep.
We've gone deep. This is a good time to listen to a track, I think.
Sure.
Let's run one. Which should we run?
Can I pick?
Yeah, whichever one.
I want to hear the one with Nada.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that
Oh
still
yeah,
on
that
here?
makes sense.
That's a good one.
Is that Origin?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Poducer Discord through the link below.
I think it's really fun too because it's my first real foray into D&B, and we made it when we were at the house, and he was like, he really wanted to make a D&B track with me, and was like, literally just like throw all of your random sound design at all these breaks. And like he kept layering breaks, and I kept layering just like random bullshit from like years of resampling stuff, and just chopping all that together into like loops, into, I don't know, we in the past, Nada and I had like just kind of like thought way too much about a track, and then it just like kind of just goes too far and is too fried. But this one was really like it was surprisingly easy to just like throw together, especially because he was really in a groove of like being in his room cranking out D&B stuff almost every day at that point, and I was just like, I have to get ideas down, I don't care what they are. So this was really fun.
Yeah, I like that.
He's so crazy.
I like the sample in there too. It kind of reminded me of like this much power. Like
Yeah. That didn't that wasn't the goal, I would say.
Yeah.
But we definitely figured, I think we just went on YouTube and found some like National Geographic thing about like volcanoes or something.
Pangea.
Yeah, some like ancient history geology thing that I don't know. I don't remember what that was from, but
Yeah.
it was a fun one.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I could definitely hear those like quirky sounds. I was like, that's definitely Jake. But then I was waiting to see who it actually was.
Yeah, it was like I said, I think it was like a pretty solid division of like, he was really dialed in on like layering breaks and like getting the like skeleton of a D&B idea together, and I was really kind of putting a bow on a lot of like heavier ideas, and like had very freshly done a bunch of like sound design sessions that worked really well for it, so it's really good timing on putting it together.
Yeah. Something I wanted to ask you, because this is kind of like a reach back or like a call back from the first one, which is like, are there any plugins or techniques that are like things that you weren't doing back then that you're doing now that you're like, oh, I would never not do this now?
I don't know about never not do it, there's definitely a couple. So actually, it's funny. Earlier this summer, I got my MacBook. Decided it was time I needed a new MacBook.
It's like, brother, you gotta help me out here.
Yeah, well, I had had it since like for 6 years, and I to this day don't know what happened, but I had it just like open, sitting on the couch with nothing next to it, nothing, like just sitting upright, how any computer would sit. I left my room to go help my partner with something. I came back, and the screen was just cracked. I have no idea what happened. Nothing touched it.
Was it plugged in?
No.
Did it fall on the ground or
Nothing.
It
didn't move.
It was just standing there.
Do you have
Just
an
like-
animal in the house?
No, I didn't at the time. I have no clue what happened, but like half the screen was just like, no, it's not happening. Fortunately, no data loss, no project files were harmed in the movement of all of that. I was definitely not ready to throw down on a new MacBook, but here we are. All of that to say, I've very recently been just returning to like stock Ableton stuff, because now that I'm on the new MacBook and they have the new OS, getting a lot of my plugins to play nice with that OS and Ableton 11 has been awful. So I'm like, I just don't care. I'm just gonna like use the tools I have, and try to get a couple if I can. Fortunately, a couple that I really like. There's this one that I've been raving about to everybody called ST4B, which is a multi-band transient shaper. So like you can choose different bands of like, you can choose highs, mids, low mids, and like your lows, and you can like tweak the different transients on each, and it lets you get really surgical. It's really, really good on your drums. I've been enjoying that. Kickstart has been surprisingly good for like side chaining stuff, and like just getting really good 4 on the floor like ducking going on.
Does it go to the BPM? I've always wondered like how.
So there's a way to route it. I think the default is to like do 8th note, quarter note, half note.
Yeah. Okay.
But then you can set it to only trigger when you give it an external signal.
Right.
So like you can signal it to go to your kick or
But
whatever.
then it's working like a compressor, and there's probably like some timing.
It's a timing thing, but
Yeah.
it's not compressing the signal. It's just
It's
ducking
ducking
the way you
it.
want it. Yeah.
But still, even then, it's like signal hit 0.2 seconds before it ducks quick. Like, whereas when it's on quarter notes or 8th notes, it's like every time you just know it's going to be down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's definitely been weird to noodle with. It's a very recent thing I've been trying. And I think you can change the like length of the ducking, and lots of different stuff, of course. But doing that fairly selectively. A lot of the like digitalis and sketch cassette for like textures has been really, really fun to mess with. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of really cool Max for Live stuff.
Yeah.
That like I discovered there's this, like I know Synplant 2 just came out and everyone's freaking out about that.
Oh, really? I knew that there was
You're
a
kidding.
new one coming out. I'm like gonna get roasted here.
See, that's good. I'm glad. That makes me happy, because that makes me think you just have not been on the internet for a sec.
No, it's more that I've just been not trying to buy plugins.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, for some reason everyone's like, this is it. This is the plugin right now, which is fair. Shout out Synplant. I have not messed with it yet. I need to, but there's a similar thing that Ableton threw up on Max for Live called Tree Tone.
I saw that. Yeah, that was weird.
I've been enjoying that a lot more than I expected to, just because it gives like really weird resonances and like little like raindrop sounds, and I don't know, doing that and getting better at digging on YouTube and getting better at recognizing a sound that I hear in real life and pulling my phone out in time.
Yeah. I've been rehashing like some videos, or like new videos that are put out as tutorials, or like just quick, like here's 6 tips that maybe you didn't know. And I'm like, I actually didn't know that. You're like, thank you. Like there's always something in Ableton that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Not to be like a total Ableton fanboy, but there's just
the random hotkeys and
just
stuff that people
certain
were like,
things,
I bet you didn't know you could just like hit that and then it does this and it just being able to just like
the hotkeys for sure, or just like this thing that you're just like like there's like a sub menu that you just didn't know about and you're just like, wait, what? That I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy how deep that stuff goes.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too, was for a while I was really trying to push myself to like learn my tools. I was always a firm believer that like learning how to use what you have before you buy new toys is something. I mean, I was also just broke and don't want to pirate stuff and kill my computer like that. But like I was always really big on just trying to get good at stock. And then like I have plenty of friends that use plugins and show me like, oh, this is why this one's better than Ableton's stock version. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I see it. I'll get that if I want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just raw Ableton, man, is so insane.
Yeah, I feel like all of the interesting plugins that I see now are the ones that just like you don't even know what they're doing. It's just like some AI shit, and it's just like, it sounds good. Like there's this one called the God Particle, which I haven't actually messed with, but it like, I think you can use it as a mastering plugin, or you can just put it on stuff. Like it's like a sound. I don't know what Sound Goodizer actually does because I don't have FL, like, but it's like a
algorithmic like audio mixer changer thing.
I never opened FL like on my computer, but there's like tons of these things where it's like this is gonna sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, and it's some weird tech, and it's just like, okay, cool. I'm down for those because it's just like, of course you want to know the fundamentals, like. But sometimes if you can just put something on, it's like, I think I know kind of what it's doing. Like I'm happy with the result.
Jerry loves his tools too.
True.
Like that's just always been
I do love
meme.
my tools. Yeah,
I think
it's real.
Lately, I get more excited about a really fat sample pack than about a plugin. Generally, of course, there are crazy versions or just crazy plugins. But yeah, like when there's like a pack full of like really unexpected sounds that like I can kind of do my own thing with and make them even more weird and more like me, that's where I get like the like kid on Christmas morning feeling of like, oh, this is like a new chapter of ideas for me.
Yeah.
Or like I've been getting more into Ableton racks, where like either just building them myself or like Kai, also a friend of the podcast, has tons of them. And last time I hung out with him and done this, which was a while ago, he had just like all kinds of cool shit that he had built himself and found on the internet, and stuff like that's really fascinating and fun for me too.
Yeah. I like just any of those little like quick like bip. I know that's been around for a while, but just like pushing a key. Kai showed me that, and then it just like resamples whatever you're listening to. It's like, yeah, that's nice. That was that much quicker. I saw this one too where it's like you can go, instead of clicking on the clip and then going in and changing the volume, you can install something where you can just click it and then fade it down. Like I think you push a key and then just like stuff like that. Like I'm like, ooh, that's nice. Like that's gonna save me 2 seconds. Like I love that.
but it does add up over time.
It adds up, yeah, for sure. The Max stuff is really cool, but not to get too geeky on plugins like for too long.
All good.
I feel like we should run another track.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We have 2 more, I think.
What should we play?
I feel bad I won't be able to see Palpa tonight. Let's play the Palpa one, because he really went
Palpa track.
Insane. Yeah.
And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Poducer Discord through the link below.
The other thing I want to say just about the whole project is we both love kind of riffing about like how 140 is the thing. So we want to make like a 140 project, but it's like not what you'd think of as a 140 project. So like that song was a 140 BPM song, and all the other ones are going to be just like crazy wild stuff like that. That's technically 140 BPM, but would probably never get put aside any of the other like what you'd think of as 140.
You got a lot of projects going on. It makes me think like, how do you schedule out the time to do it? And you're just like, yo, should we link on Wednesday? Like, or
so the one with
does it
Palpa
link
has
up?
been really chill. He's a busy guy. I've been really busy. It's really mostly just, I don't know, I think we even, when we had the reset episode when we were both here, we talked about like the ebbs and flows of our creative workflow. So like whenever we both have free time and even feeling just a little bit creative, one of us will go to the other's place and whip up Ableton or like whip up whatever tracks we'd started previously. And it's a lot of just like noodling and arriving at random ideas that don't make sense and then making them make sense. It's a really fun process every time, because it's like you really never know what you're going to start with or where you're going to end up.
Yeah. I feel like Kale's process is just, it's really out of this world. Like I'm always in awe whenever I see him produce. I'm just like, bro, you're going off. I would have never done it like that. Like,
yeah, his like approach and just the way he can carry like a random loop of something that you didn't even think of as like a melody into like the backbone of a song.
I feel
Especially
like
recently.
your styles also complement each other well, because there's just like a lot of like organized chaos going on.
I think so. Yeah. I think some of my favorite like grooves that I don't think I've heard really anywhere else have been tracks that he and I have made together, where it's like, I can't even really describe it, but like stuff that's like, it just started with like a very simple thing, and then we would turn stuff off, add a layer, turn stuff off, add that layer, and just like keep adding stuff. And then you have like 6 just obscenely chaotic layers. Clean those up a little bit, make them all play nice with each other, and then you have just a wild idea.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about just like, who have you been listening to lately? Like, who's been inspiring you?
I've been kind of turning back the clock a little bit. I've been diving into like some older SoundCloud stuff, so like older Sam G, stuff of that era. There's a guy, you may know the name Rage Logic.
Oh yeah, I've heard. He was back in the day when like trap and like kind of future bass were.
He was tight with like Oshi and Sober Rob and all those guys. He has a lot of really cool stuff. And then I guess like that's when like it's weird, because I'll go on SoundCloud and listen to completely different stuff than what I listen to on Spotify. SoundCloud is where I go to for like when I want to make some like off the wall stuff that's only for people who listen to stuff on SoundCloud. You know what I mean? Where there's like just
producing for producers.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
When I want like inspiring stuff to dig up, I'll go there. But when I want like the more timeless, like commercially accessible stuff, or even just like more casual listening, I'd say in general I listen to Spotify more now. But when I'm on Spotify lately, I've been listening to more just like older hip hop, whether it's like 3-6 Mafia or like J Dilla, Madlib, Doom era stuff, or Injury Reserve, or I don't know, just lots of like trying to dig back, because again, I feel like I have almost kind of gotten fatigued on like being driven by sound design, and really try to be driven more by like what's going to be a memorable idea, what's something I can show to my parents and they're not going to think I need to be checked into the hospital. What's something I can like,
They're like, so you like this?
Yeah.
And you're like, it's cool, right?
like I think the throwing my phone in a pool,
Yeah,
I think
that
is
was
how
the thing we described it as last time.
Yeah, I'm a little, I feel like I'm moving away from that a tiny bit, Or like if I can make that sound like music with notes, that would be cool. But trying to strike the balance of like stuff, that's what I think is really cool about like Flume or Sophie, rest in peace, was they make and made so many songs that are like, for guys like us, like, how the fuck did you do that? That's so crazy from a producer standpoint. And then like we'll make Never Be Like You, which is like every like, I don't know, everyone knows that song.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a radio hit.
And it's like, and that song still makes producers gush. And it's, I don't know, the fact that, yeah, that's kind of been like, how do I strike that balance without just making stuff that sounds like Flume? Not Flume specifically,
Flume
but he's
really
the
hit
person
the
I can
nail
count
on the head. Like when I saw him in North Coast this year.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't actually that, I kind of didn't realize I wanted like a Flume DJ set opposed to like the live setup. But yeah, like that song they were talking about, the one that's the radio hit, I'm blanking on the name, but like,
Never
yeah,
Be Like You.
Yeah, like it, if you listen to the drums, it's real like swung in a weird way. And to me, I'm like, oh, how did this worked on the radio, but it's hitting the pockets right. And I'm not saying that nothing that is pop music doesn't have swing, like of course,
or like,
but
like Sophie making beats for Charlie XCX or countless other people. It's like, but they're so weird.
yeah.
But they're huge. And like, I don't know. It's like figuring out what weird stuff can like people be receptive to, and like what makes something more timeless. Because that's something I've thought about a lot too, especially after putting out my last EP. Was like, I feel like I mostly reached other producers or people who like appreciate that kind of music.
Yeah.
That like admire the production in that way. But it'd be cool to keep that and expand to people who are like not SoundCloud people.
Yeah, I feel that. It's something, a love that we both share is Mr. Carmack.
Yeah.
And like when I go back, I was actually just going back through his discography the other day, and it's a lot of the more timeless songs that I choose to listen to, like Drugs EP, that's my shit.
It's
but
so
also, I can't listen to that like the way I can listen to like Vibes or Melodies or, you know, some of those like where it's not as in your face.
Yeah, and just like, I don't know, like in a lot of ways the simpler ideas on a lot of those is it's the more memorable part, right? Like when something gets stuck in your head, it's usually not like throwing your phone in a pool sound. It's usually like,
because you can't even like recreate it. Like if you tried to sing along to just like glitchy noises, you'd be like, you look crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, that's something I've been also thinking about a lot and trying to put into practice. And I don't know, it's also that I feel like I've become known for making bass music or like really hard trap music, and I'm ready to kind of dial that back. Not that I don't still love hard music or trap music, but just refining it in like a more bouncy way, more, I guess accessible, and like it'd be cool to show my parents something and they can like at least dance to it even if they don't understand it. Like if it's catchy enough and they can like ignore the glitchy parts that are like me putting my love into it, that would be cool.
I mean, I feel like you can still have that ear candy, like all that, all of that stuff that makes you.
And to clarify, my parents love me. They love that I make music, and it's not like you need to keep your day job, any of that.
Or they were just telling you, like, I don't know, the snare sounds like it could use a little bit of top end removed. Have you heard of Soothe? Like they just get deep, and you're like, what the fuck?
If I got put on blast, I'm just imagining that at like Thanksgiving or something, where like, I don't know, we're arguing about politics, and they're like, all of a sudden, just roasting my mixes.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, like-
I need to be excused.
You ever tried to add a little bit of 3K to your kick?
Yeah.
Gives it a little bit more
Jesus
top, and you're just
Christ.
like, wait, no. I gotta go. That's like when you'd rather argue about politics.
Yeah.
Jake, how many times have I told you the crossover is at 400 hertz and you gotta dip it? You gotta dip it, Jake.
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be like a horrible reality. That's when you know you're in the twilight zone.
But then it's also like, if I ever become a dad and ever become like, and my kid ever decides to be creative and do music, I don't want to be that dad that's like roasting their mix downs at Thanksgiving.
You could gently.
I feel like there's a whole generation of that waiting to happen.
Oh yeah.
my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Producer dads. That's such a funny concept. Like.
Because yeah, like I feel like the norm, like, so I'm 29. I feel like I'm inevitably just gonna, like, EDM Twitter's gonna come for me and like melt me down into petroleum because I'm a dinosaur now. And like, but I also feel like it's become normalized for like people to keep making music after they're 30, which is like a wild thing for everyone to like decide is okay now. But like, I'm not gonna stop when I turn 30 anyway. So like,
Who said that?
I don't know, but you know how
said
there's
that?
like memes, there's all these like social, I don't know, just like preconceptions about like
Yeah.
turning 30, that's it, like you're fucked. From what I've seen anyway and experienced, but I don't feel that. I'm not gonna stop when I turn 30. But I do feel like because there's been this like widespread movement of like our generation having so many producers and like getting into all the nerdy producer shit that we talk about on here, that like that generational, like when those people have kids and they want to start doing music and it becomes like a more familial thing, that'll be wild.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird. Well, because the tools are probably gonna look different too, and you're gonna be like scratching your head, like, so what are you doing with the? How are you routing your signal?
Or even just think about like when Rihanna and A$AP Rocky just had a kid, right? Like so many people were already like, that kid's gonna put out so many hits. It's like, what if they just like don't do that?
yeah, for sure.
What's gonna bum me out is I'm gonna be like, all right, son, you want to play on my 909? And they're like, no. Like opens up
hell?
FL Studio, like hits the piano roll. I'm like, oh,
Got my 1010. You're like,
you are not my
"No."
child.
What the hell?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't even know, like, if you could just envision what it would be like, because I feel like things are gonna change so much. You know, it's hard to even. I feel like there's also that thing where, like, you look at like Will Smith's kids, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's, I mean, now Will Smith, whatever. Anyway, but like both of his kids got into music, and it would be interesting to know, like,
What are those conversations
how did
like?
they? Yeah, like, obviously they have lots of connections, so like that's
Right.
the most helpful thing you can have. Like, oh, you want to put out a song and it
Sure.
actually go somewhere.
I guess I'm more thinking about, because like within like the EDM community or like the beats community, I mean, most people aren't Will Smith. So like most people have like maybe a decent local network or following or fan base, whatever you want to call it. And so like seeing that at like a much smaller scale getting passed on would be really interesting.
Yeah, like if you were just in the electronic scene, but even that, I mean, you might have some connection. Who knows? But
Yeah. There's a lot to think about with, I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
well, I also
Well-
am just like, yeah, Maze. what were you gonna say?
Sorry, I just kind of wanted to bring it back to this, Jake, because we were talking about this right at the beginning where it feels like you have to do so much to promote your music and like good music doesn't
yeah.
really get found anymore. So I'm just trying to bring it back to that where it's like
Yeah.
when you have those connections and you have that establishment where I'm fucking Will Smith's kid, like
Yeah.
listen to my song. How do we do that as local up and coming?
I mean, I'm trying to figure
get
that out right
established?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully at that point you just have like an AI whatever that just like posts for you. You don't even have
We'll
to.
all
you
have
can-
Neuralink installed in our brains.
yeah. But like seriously, like some kind of assistant that actually just does the work that you don't want to do. Like that would be nice.
Yeah.
Or like there was another thing I was thinking about. Yeah, like what are we gonna have? like distro kids still, or like are there going to be things that we would be like, oh well, yeah, the next step would be to get a distributor, but it's like, oh dad, we actually just, through the ledger, like it's just peer to peer, and you're just like, oh, that's actually sick.
That's the thing that's really fascinating with just the whole landscape right now, is it feels like every platform is designed to do a specific thing, but like most of us are talking to the same dozen or so people on all of them. Like Discord, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud for those of us that like do music and bring that same periphery of people back to SoundCloud. So it's like, what if there was just like a decent place to like hang out and not have information overload and talk to my friends?
I feel like Discord does probably the best, right?
It does, but it's also like
There's still a lot on there.
there's so many group chats, man, and like just having to like manually mute so much stuff all the time. I don't know. I Discord has definitely been one of the better places for the community for sure. I guess I was really surprised when no, I won't say. I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay. Self-censoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool. Like in the future if it was just like Facebook for producers. But then again, that might be too insular. Like that it's...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd be curious because like an idea I had is like, who would be holistic enough to create a platform that's like Spotify but flips the payment model so that it's favorable to artists, and like the platform still has enough money to exist. You can like host your community the way you do on Twitch or Discord. You can communicate with people the way you do on WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever, and like you can also just like only get the information you want and not all this other stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love that.
Because the sensory overload, I think, is just not the sustainable thing about all of it right now. Because closing my phone and then immediately opening it and reopening the same app I was just on for 2 hours is like something that I've become increasingly self-aware of, and it just becomes very tiresome.
Yeah, for sure.
Feels like a
And there's
simulation
nothing new.
after that.
Yeah.
It just,
I think it like, I guess that's the thing too, is it should just be okay that there's no new information for you right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like no new notifications. I'll get ghost notifications from certain platforms, and I'm just like,
sucks.
you
I have
guys
to turn those
suck
off.
that you do this. Like I have a Yelp page for my business, and somehow, whether it's a glitch or not, I very much question if it's a glitch. Like there's a notification. I'll go into that. No notifications. But like that there's that glaring red one on my homepage. I'm like, oh, I got something to do. And then I'm like, wait, there's nothing there.
Yep.
Stop bringing me into the app. Like that should literally be like illegal. Like
It's by design,
it
man.
bothers me so much.
There's so many like documentaries and stuff about that now too. They could definitely explain it better than I ever could. But
yeah,
I don't know.
we don't have to keep going down that.
No.
Really sounding like boomers now.
I know. Snail mail your friends, everyone.
For the sake of not sounding completely like that, I feel like we could do a little wrap up, play the last song, and call it a day.
Oh, that means this one is the one with Blake. Shout out Blake.
And Blake
Scourin is a good friend, also now in the house I used to be in.
Yeah.
This song is, at least as of this recording, currently supposed to come out on his album. I don't know when that album's coming out, but it's very good, and I'm very excited and proud of him. He's a genius too.
And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Poducer Discord through the link below.
Yeah, I'm really glad we were able to like land on this being a cohesive song, because it just has so much going on.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
That feels like the point of it, though, right? Like
Kinda. Yeah, we wanted to make, like, we always joke that beats like this we call them like fuck off tracks because like you hear it and you're like fuck off.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah,
Like the drum and bass, like good fuck off, like oh fuck off.
yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know, like when someone shows me a track that's just that overwhelming and has a lot of cool stuff going on, I'm just like whatever, man.
Yeah.
But we like we really just wanted to have fun, and he really put a lot of emotion into the rest of his album, so I'm glad this kind of was a moment of levity and like familiarity for him. Yeah, that's the homie. Blake's the real one.
Yeah. And you guys were living in the house together at the same time at one point, right? Or did he take your spot?
There was a little overlap. There was a weird period where he unexpectedly moved in a month early. And it was while we were hosting, I think Willie Crooks was in town. Shout out Willie. So we had like him, Harry was also moving in. Shout out Harry. Blake, and then I think we had a couple other people just like in town. And so there were like 5 dudes in our basement, which was not much bigger than this room, for like a month. And that was just absurd.
Yeah.
But, so that was kind of the last hurrah of just total insanity at that house for me. Insanity in a good way. But it was just like, holy shit, this is a lot.
One thing I wanted to ask about was like, were there like blasting periods where it's like you can go off king, like do like play your music, produce your shit, or were there like headphone times? Like, how did you?
Yeah, so I would say I was there for 3 years. So that's a pretty wide frame. I would say generally everyone was everyone was respectful and like, part of the reason we found the appeal of that house was not sharing walls with other people. It was just us. Yeah. So like having like, did you ever visit? I don't know if you ever did.
Yeah.
But we had like the main studio room where like we wanted that to be like, you can just crank your shit and everyone can like be there. And that was like the main sesh room. So like whenever we'd all work on stuff together or have a couple different ideas going at the same time, that was the nucleus of that. I don't know how they've changed it since I left, but generally, I mean, I was the only one with like a true 9 to 5 where I was like, I need to be up at this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there was hardly any like, guys, turn it down.
Like with the broomstick. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure that's half the reason for living there is to be in a collaborative space. So,
well,
but I was
honestly,
just curious about the etiquette.
No, you're good. And like, honestly, that was kind of when I was still at that rock bottom Dunning-Kruger point where I was like, all I know how to do is make weird sounds. I didn't quite feel confident about like my actual like composition. So I was the one that would usually just opt for headphones because I was like, I don't want people to listen to me resample a coin for like 2 hours. So I was definitely just like self-conscious from the get-go, and I also just like listening to all the weird little details in samples anyway, so I find headphones to be a better medium for that than listening to that out loud, which is also nice now because my current living situation, I do share walls with new people, and my partner's not a music person, so no one hears me making bass patches at 2
starting and stopping a track.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about like, have you seen those memes where it's just like, yeah, like what the girlfriend hears when
or
the boyfriend or whatever, but like
I was always too insecure to become that person.
Yeah, I don't want to be that person either. Sometimes I'll leave the door open and not realize, and then I'll like go and be like, "What's up?" And then she doesn't care, but I'm just like, I'm like, sorry, you just had to listen to me like listen to the same thing for 2 hours. So
yeah, even like I would say I use my monitors and more like loud like room stuff towards the end of like mixing a track or like trying to get a feel for it outside of my headphones because I'm usually fatigued at that point. So I usually try to have like a mostly complete idea or at least like a pretty well developed loop that I'm working on and trying to workshop before I like bring it to like the rest of the room.
Yeah, you're like kind of like this. It's sounding pretty good now.
Yeah.
Like, anyone can listen now.
Yeah, but my partner's also very supportive, and even though it's just different than what she's used to, it's she's great.
Yeah, she's great. That's how we'll end it. But actually, how we'll end it is, where can people find you?
Yeah, I am on Spotify, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, pretty much any streaming. You can spell it ELL !PSIS. If you're typing a URL or a tag, it's ELL1 PSIS because they don't let you do exclamation points in URLs.
Yeah.
On Twitter for however long that lasts, and Instagram, I have an underscore at the end because somebody with a dead account won't get deactivated or give me that username, so there's an underscore on mine. Bandcamp would be really cool. Really trying to get more active on there. And also send me your email if you want to really stay in touch. I'm going to try to be more direct with people that way.
Yeah. Check out Ellipsis. I don't know if we said your name earlier, but
yeah.
That's how you say it.
I say it Ellipsis. I know it looks... I've gotten some pretty surprising butchers on Ellipsis over the years. I think my favorite one is Bauer coining me as Eli Piss. It's so great. I was actually like during the pandemic, and I know you're trying to wrap so I can be quick, but
no, you're good. Yeah, you got kind of like close-ish with Bauer.
Kind of. I have a pretty funny couple stories with that guy, but he was definitely one of the most inspiring people to just like even like observe during COVID, because it was like he would just get on Twitch and like make beats and then like put out an album that got nominated for a Grammy, and like you kind of get to see how he does it, and it's really cool that it's like it's really not anything like elaborate. There's no secret sauce. He just like knows what he's looking for and knows what he's trying to do, and is also just like a really real person. It's not like a persona. And like now when he comes here and knows I'm Eli Piss, and like I had done enough of his beat battles and stuff where he remembers that like I produce. I think I did win one of them, which was really crazy.
Didn't like Diplo see it or something, or like Diplo was judging it?
Diplo was
him?
the judge and selected mine, and that was a crazy day.
Yeah, that's so wild.
That was weird to hear him say my name one time.
One time.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But so that was a really cool, just like way to stay busy and stay inspired and really kind of like keep the creative flow going. And yeah, now whenever Bauer comes here, like he played Soundbar a month ago, and just like I got to DM him and hang out with him at the show. And it was really funny because he was late, but he was like, I have to get a hot dog before I come to the show, because he's from New York, flies into Chicago and like speed runs to the venue. But he's like, what do you guys eat besides hot dogs? And I was like, huh? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, if I have another hot dog, I'm gonna explode. And I was like, you have to go to Harold's. Like you have to eat something that's not hot dogs. Like I promise we have so much more food than the dogs. But
or like pizza, I feel like is more the thing that people, but I guess being from New York, it's like,
well, he had done pizza another time, I guess, because I was like, you should do the pizza, but also like if you're trying to go to bed, that's not a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It was,
or it'll put you to bed real quick. It's like either way, like, you're probably gonna wake up and have like a brick in your stomach. But
I think he was also looking for like a very Chicago thing, but not quite. Like the pizza and the hot dogs I think everyone knows about, but I was like, you gotta hit Harold's, because that's a good recommendation. It's a real spot.
Yeah, some wings.
I don't know if he ever did, but hopefully that'll be sitting in his back pocket for next time or something. But
yeah,
so that's been really cool. And yeah, he's a very approachable and real person. That's always something I really appreciate when you like cross paths with like actually famous people.
Mm-hmm. But he's not like famous on the level where his face is really famous. Like, yeah, to like producers and people that know him, but that's kind of like the best kind.
True. I mean, I still think like if I tell a non-SoundCloud person that like I have this like kind of strange relationship, they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "The Harlem Shake guy." Oh yeah, and I'm like, okay, but he also like has this all like crazy other discography and like has made shit with Pusha T and Future and like all these other dudes, but like that's what you know him for.
Yeah,
and that's like what it's gonna be, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. But even that like wasn't. I don't remember if there was like a music video or if it was just the trend of dancing, but like again, not his face at the forefront. That's kind of sick. Like,
yeah,
kind of. I don't know. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing too. Like, kind of circling back to what we were talking about. Like, that was like pre-TikTokifying anything.
Yeah, and it was viral in like a whole different way. Yeah,
and I'd imagine he has to hate that song, or at least have some weird relationship with it now,
or have like a very strange remix that he's okay with playing. Like,
he played a pretty cool one last time I saw him, but like, yeah, I think he embraced the meme at this point because you have to.
Yeah, you have to.
But yeah, in a way that seems like it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
For me, at least, I would not like that.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we'll let you go, but just any shout outs. I know we've talked about a lot of people, but just quickly, if there's anyone special.
Yeah. Shout out to all of my people that I showed off tracks that I'm collaborating with. TYGKO, Palpa, Blake, Deej.
Nada.
Yeah, I shout out you guys. I was gonna say, thanks, like, it's really, really cool how you guys have grown this podcast in such a thoughtful way. Because like the way I remember when you were on your hiatus, you're like, I don't really know how to go with it or what I'm trying to aim for, and like seeing you come back with such a force and such a like idea and like a method behind it. Getting this guy behind it was a A+ move.
That was a big move. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, I don't know, every time I talk to producer homies now, like everyone's dialed in to what you're doing, and it's like it's a really cool, it's a really cool thing to hear. Like, oh, I just recorded an episode with Jerry and Mace. I just recorded Poducer, or like, oh, did you catch the last one? Like, people are really, even for people they don't know.
Yeah, I feel like if it can be that rite of passage, that's like such a honor.
Yeah, dude.
Just to be able to facilitate that.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's really, really cool.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. And also, I'm just going to shout out your girlfriend just because she's cool.
She's the best.
Yeah.
I should have probably shouted her out too. I love you.
Everyone, like, if we do the shout outs too long, it's like, shout out to just like people I don't even know yet, but that I'm gonna know. Like, here's to you. Shout out to the universe. We're all made of stars. And it's just like, you can't let the shout outs go too long. Otherwise, that happens.
Yeah. I want to say there was some episode either I was on or I remember listening to where there were many a shout out that was a little carried away.
It's too many. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to end it. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
Peace.